Welcome to Screen Weens, episode 94.
Oh wow, 94.
I think.
If you just flip one of those, 64, which is...
Oh, I was like 90.
Which is a Nintendo console number.
Yeah, 94. Yeah, that's true.
Right.
I have some very concerning news. The Wrong Turn video is less than 600 views away from becoming the most viewed thing on the channel.
I thought it already had.
No, Happy Halloween Scooby-Doo is still
nice.
the top for now, but it's getting close. We got two things with 11,000 views.
Ooh.
We're hit 183 subscribers.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. But yeah, welcome back to Screen Weens. Took a week off because Thomas worked a bunch and now has been fired. Just kidding. He took a week off.
Yeah, I basically just took a week off.
To reevaluate his life.
Not wrong.
He's like, do I want to be in Screen Weens anymore?
Oh. Like, man, delivering pizzas is nice, but that Screen Ween shit's really slowing me down.
Think about how many more pizzas I could deliver if I didn't have to watch these goddamn movies every week.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so it's been 2 weeks. You were working a lot, so obviously you probably didn't do a bunch, but did you do anything?
Primarily I did two things. I watched Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh yeah.
And I watched the first 20 episodes of the newish Dragon Quest anime, called The Adventures of Dai.
Oh, okay.
It's very Dragon Ball-esque. It's just kind of like a light shonen. It was alright. I enjoyed it.
How was Jujutsu Kaisen? We sell a lot of the manga, so...
I enjoyed it. I thought it had kind of a slow start, but once it got going, it was pretty decent.
Pretty lit.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah.
We started reading. Thomas, you have like 2 weeks.
I can do it.
Okay.
But, yeah. I've tried to sit down a couple of times and start, but it just hasn't taken off yet. Once I get into it, it'll definitely start.
I finished the second book. Started the third one. I'm about a 10th through it. Tomorrow I get my second dose, so I'm guessing Friday I'll be pretty out of commission, so I'll probably just I might just read it all that day, or I might watch a bunch of movies. Not sure what I'm going to do. I'll probably see how bad I feel. I might just lay in bed not doing anything.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so I've been reading a lot. I've been reading like an hour and a half or 2 hours every day. Read the newest chapter of One Piece.
Ooh, 10-12?
Yeah.
Yeah, 10-13 comes out tomorrow night.
Yeah. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm interested to see
There's a lot of
direction they're going.
There's a lot of setup going on that I wasn't expecting.
I'm starting, because, like, there's a while where I'm not going to get deep into it, but basically, like, it seemed like the big theory was the raid was going to fail, and it was going to be, like, a kind of, like, Infinity War low, and then they were going to have, like, the end game high where they were going to have to build back up. And a while ago, I would have said it didn't look like they were going to do that. But it seems like there's just so many, like, threads flying around that it's like, I don't think they're going to necessarily do that, but I think it's going to, like, be a little longer than I was previously anticipating the rest of this arc to be.
Yeah. Let's see, what else did I do? Me and Hinata watched Ella Enchanted yesterday.
Nice.
You know that movie, right? The one with Anne Hathaway?
I vaguely, like, seen it around.
It was on TV a lot growing up, so I've seen it, like, probably like 6 times. It's weird, but it's fun enough. It's very like 2000s. That definitely shows its age, but it's fine. It's a fun little romp. I also watched this movie called Take Shelter that I've been meaning to watch for a while. It has Michael Shannon and Jessica Chastain in it. It's by the same director as Midnight Special, which is a movie with Adam Driver in it that I've been meaning to rewatch for a while. But Take Shelter is really good. It's about this guy who's like having apocalyptic visions, and he doesn't know like if it's real or if he's going crazy because like families has like a history of mental illness. It's real good. I really enjoyed it. And Michael Shannon's fantastic in the role.
So I see.
What else did I watch? Not a whole lot. Me and Hinata finished the first season of Star Wars Rebels. It's been really nice rewatching that. I love Rebels. And I think season 1 definitely is like the low point of the series, just because it's starting a lot of things, but I still really enjoyed it. And, yeah, that was mostly it. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, and I've just been working a lot too, so. But after I finish these 3 Thrawn books, I have a whole list of Star Wars books I want to read, because once I get into Star Wars stuff, I get hyper fixated on it. I'm like, I need to read a bunch of Star Wars shit.
Okay.
So I have the other 3 here that I'll probably read. Master and Apprentice, Lords of the Sith, and Dark Disciple, but I honestly might just try to start reading like from the earliest point in the canon, like timeline wise, and just go on. I might wait on High Republic stuff right now because that's currently coming out. I may wait for a little more of it to come out, so I'll start with stuff that's kind of closer to the prequel era stuff, and then once more High Republic stuff is out, I'll go into that. I'm not sure. And obviously, like, maybe I'll just be thrown out after this, but...
Perhaps.
Yeah. And also, I've been playing Star Wars Racer Revenge, which is the sequel to, like, the Pod Racer game.
Oh, okay.
It's real good. Ben Quaterneros!
Oh, I saw that birth certificate.
Yeah, we went to Build-A-Bear on, like, a date, and I made Ben Quaterneros. It doesn't look like him, but I thought his name would be cool if his name was Ben Quaterneros.
Oh, fair.
Yeah. Oh, and I've thought of a new tattoo idea. I'm thinking I'm going to get a wraparound, like right here, on this arm, and it'll just be the pod racers, like going around the circle. I think that would be pretty fun.
Yeah, it's definitely match your theme you got going on that arm. Star Wars.
And on this arm, a Serbian.
Oh, I thought you were just going to say, like, Nick Cage.
No, yo. Nick Cage should be in an American remake of Serbian film. Actually, though, he would nail that.
He probably would.
I would. Yeah, I doubt he would do it, though.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
I think we're good to just jump into some questions.
Oh, epic.
Do you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay, that's okay. We have some questions from Pierre. Number 1, the worst smell you have ever smelled. I don't know. Like, smells are bad, but I don't... Once I've smelled something and it's bad, I kind of just push it out of my mind. Like, yeah. I think cat piss is pretty bad. Yeah. Like, that's one that I experience, like, a decent amount because I have a cat. Mm-hmm. Like, even if it's in the litter box, I can smell cat piss. So I would probably say, like, that.
Yeah.
At least something that I experience a decent amount. I've smelled things that are worse, obviously.
Yeah. Cat piss is pretty nasty. I'm not a big fan of that scent either. Probably, like, spoiled milk. Not a big fan of that.
Yeah. Okay, question 2. Who is the most racist hero in Marvel? MCU? Hawkeye. Easily. Outside of the MCU? Like, just regular Marvel? I don't know.
Probably, like, some interpretations of Captain America. Probably, for sure.
John Walker. John Walker? Does he count? I don't know if I'd consider him a hero. I don't know if most people would. I feel like Tony Stark's pretty racist.
Probably.
Even unintentionally. Like, remember, he was fueling, like, even before he turned he turned good, but he was still, like, a war profiteer.
Oh, absolutely. Anyway.
Yeah. And then question 3. When do you think Dragon Ball will get a live-action reboot? Do you think they'd do another one?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look at the rate that they're doing them now. Like, Gundam's getting a live action, isn't it?
Yeah, but, like, Dragon Ball already had one, so do you think they'll just steer clear of it?
Well, Dragon Ball hasn't had one from Japan in quite a while. I think they had... I don't even know if they ever did any live action.
I don't think so. There's, it was maybe Taiwanese or Korean. There was 2 live action movies. I can't remember, and they weren't like officially affiliated either. I'm
so pretty sure. I could see them waiting like another like 10 years, 5 years, however long it feels before they feel like they've mastered like anime live actions. Because I feel like with Dragon Ball, they're probably holding on to that one as like we want to make like the definitive live action Dragon Ball. It's bound to happen at some point. It's like the biggest... I mean,
and I think they're like... Shinsuke Sato, I think, is probably just going to be the one to do it. Because he just does all the fucking... He's the one that did like the Bleach one. Inuyashiki. And I feel like he's just the one they're like, hey, he makes like competent films like for live action stuff.
Yeah, they'll either get him or... who's
Takashi Miike?
Yeah, Takashi Miike.
Takashi Miike always like... does the weirder ones though. He's like, yeah, you can do the Terraformars one or the Ace Attorney one. Like, what the fuck? It'll be interesting to see though. Yeah, I'm sure they'll do it. I would maybe 6 years. I think 6 years is a good number. I feel like we'll get an announcement in 2024 about it.
Well, they just announced the new Dragon Ball Super movie. Maybe that's...
It's gonna be live action.
They're just gonna be like, it's gonna be canon. It's gonna fit right in there.
Goku will be played by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
There we go.
But yeah. Alright, thank you for the questions, Mr. Pierre. We appreciate it. If you want to ask questions, you can always comment on the YouTube video. You can email us at 2weensandascreen@gmail.com.
You can write it on a piece of paper, attach it to a brick, and throw it through one of our windows.
Yeah, you can also just put it on a random bird. It'll probably find its way to us.
Probably.
But yeah, we can probably just jump in today with Under the Volcano.
Under the Volcano.
Directed by John Huston and starring Albert Finney.
It's based off of, I guess, a pretty
semi-autobiographical novel.
By
both Malcolm, of these were, actually.
Yeah, by Malcolm Lowry, I think is his name.
There's a documentary about him called, like, Volcano, like, Living in the Shadow or something like that. I want to watch it.
Yeah, I guess from my understanding, he was kind of like a Van Gogh type where he wrote a bunch of stuff and it didn't really gain any traction. And then he wrote this novel, like, when he was on the verge of, like, drinking himself to death.
Yeah.
And it was very well regarded. And I don't know if it was successful while he was still alive or not. Probably.
Probably a little bit, but he's like, oh, I don't care. So you rewatched both these, right? Or did you just not watch them?
I rewatched both.
And you just watched these like 3 weeks ago or something, right? Or a month ago now?
Something like that. It wasn't too long.
How was watching this one again specifically?
I think it's a little better. I think I was able to understand what the movie was going for a little more, but it's kind of in your face nihilistic.
Yeah.
So it's still like kind of a shock to the system. And I think it's meant to be that way intentionally. But it's just like the first time I watched it, I found the end to be very jarring.
Yeah.
Not so much jarring in like I think it was unfitting, but I felt it was maybe to a certain degree unearned.
Yeah, like in general, I would say like the whole maybe third act just felt kind of strange to me. Like
I'd say
once he gets to like the brothel, I was just like, this feels like different. Like this feels kind of strange.
It does. It definitely changes tone. I think I like a lot of the stuff from the brothel sequence.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely like a tone shift, and it can be kind of jarring on the first watch.
So here's a little summary of both of the films, pretty much. A man is in a town and drinks himself to death. Pretty much. This one, he mostly is drinking himself just to make himself happy, or I guess not even happy, just
he's accepted that he's found himself in a self-destructive cycle, and he kind of welcomes it. Meanwhile, his ex-wife has come back to town along with the man who she had like an affair on him.
Yeah, his brother, his half-brother.
Yeah.
Hugh.
And basically, they kind of spend the day together, kind of avoiding the elephant in the room. And meanwhile, kind of like just, he's making empty promises. Yeah, no, I can kind of stop learning to drink. Come.
He's like, I'll only drink beer today.
Yeah, that, or he's like, he asks his friend, like, recommendations, and he's like, well, you gotta drink, but you gotta drink in moderation. He's like, oh, well, you wanna, like, come moderate with me right now? And it's just, like, stuff like that. And there's definitely, like, I really enjoy Albert Finney's performance in this movie.
Yeah, I did rewatch Leaving Las Vegas first. And then watching this, I'm like, yeah, I can definitely see inspirations. I really liked Albert Finney in this. I don't think I liked anyone else in it, though. Like, they were fine. And I don't think it's necessarily the performances. I just didn't care for anyone else's character, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm kind of there with you, too. I think the wife and the brother's character are pretty... there's not enough there. There might be details in the book or something that might flesh them out more, but they just weren't present in the movie, and I didn't really like the characteristics of what we got of at least the guy. And a lot of her decisions just didn't make sense to me. I didn't see the reasoning behind her wanting to come back to this guy, other than maybe she has like that complex where she wants to help people, which
I'm fine with that, and I'm also just fine with her coming back to him, like just feeling like, hey, I was married to this guy, and she might feel guilty to the point where she's like, I'll just be with him, I'll just stay with him because I did something wrong. I'm fine with that, but just none of that is conveyed very well if that's what they were going for, and she just feels... both of those characters just kind of feel aimless in some of the scenes, which is unfortunate because I do think there are some good scenes with her and Albert Finney together.
Yeah.
But...
yeah, no.
When she first appeared, I'm like, this is a figment of his imagination.
Yeah,
I'm like, she's not real. Because when she first appears, she goes to that bar, and he's with, like, I think his name's, like, Fernando or something.
Yeah.
And the guy, like, doesn't, like, look up or anything when she walks in, so I'm like... is she, like, not real or something? And then just the way, like, he's talking and some of the, like, longing shots at her, I'm like, is she, like, a goat? What's going on here? And I thought maybe, I'm like, well, the movie's kind of centered around, like, the Day of the Dead. Are they gonna be like, yeah, in his drunken state, he's just, like, imagining things? Which would have been an interesting direction. They didn't go with that, which is fine, but I was like convincing myself, I'm like, yeah, she's not real.
Yeah.
And then the brother shows up and starts talking to her. I'm like, oh, I guess she's real.
Yeah. Definitely the big two selling points of this movie are Albert Finney and his like tuxedo, and the location and the fact that they put it on Day of the Dead. You know, while it's significant to the story because obviously this man's like under the volcano and flirting with death the entire time. It just a lot of it's just really nice to look at.
Yeah, the movie looks really nice, and most of it sounds pretty good. Like I like the sound design of it. There's the scene where he's in the rocket ship ride sounds kind of rough. He's like, and I'm like, what? But other than that, like everything sounds pretty clean, which is surprising for like filming in a town that's celebrating a holiday. I'm like, I feel like it'd be much louder and harder to like film these shots, but a lot of it sounds pretty clean, which was a nice surprise.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else like major that I'm feeling on this one that I want to say.
One day our podcasts are just going to be like 20 minutes. We're just gonna like, yeah, it was pretty good. We don't have anything good. Or we're just, as we can progress, we're just like, I don't know what to say about this movie. We liked it.
Well, yeah, it's just like, I don't know how to begin to describe. I feel like I've hit every major point. I don't know. I mean, obviously, like, both films we watch have a main character that's kind of entered this, like, point beyond, like, self-pitying where they just kind of want to, like, destroy their lives in a drink. But
it's interesting because with both these movies, I've experienced, like, family members or friends or people that have, like, destroyed their lives through, like, alcohol or drug abuse. Like, just from, like, the jobs I've had and the people I've met. And, like, I was on a pretty self-destructive, like, rampage when I was, like, 18, 19 that I thankfully got out of. But so it's like both these films hit pretty close to home. I think one of them hits closer for me. But it's just interesting because, like, I knew a guy, or I knew a guy. I knew him in high school. We were decently acquainted. I consider him a friend for a time, but he went off the deep end. Like, a couple years ago, he killed like 2 people in, like, a car crash because he was driving under, like, the influence.
Oh wow!
And he's in prison for like 20 years or something. It's like, it's scary. And it's weird thinking about, like, small towns like that, which I think correlates to this film a little more because he's in a smaller town. Because, like, when there's not a lot to do, people just turn to drugs.
Sure.
And so there's, like, a lot of, like, drug use, like, down in Chehalis, like, there's nothing to do, time to do drugs. And especially it goes double for, like, living on an island with not a lot to do.
Yeah.
A lot of drug use. So it's just like, these movies made me a little uncomfortable. Not in a bad way, though. Like,
fair. I mean, it's a very common problem that pretty much everyone will come across at one point in their life or another.
And mostly these movies just make me thankful that, like, I am in a better place in my life now. And although, like, I still deal with a lot of, like, depression and anxiety and stuff, I have better things to help me cope than just turning to drugs and alcohol like I used to. So that's nice. Like, I can just call Thomas at any time and be like, hey, buddy, I need to talk.
Exactly.
I probably could. I haven't yet, but
you're always welcome to.
I'll just drive to your house and bang on your door. Thomas, I need a rim job. I need it. Depressed man. Need my Thomas rim job.
You might scare my dad with that one. He might think you're talking to him.
Oh yeah, his name's Benjamin.
Yeah.
Benjamin Button. Yo, we should watch Benjamin Button. Yeah. But overall, I think the movie's pretty good. I was a little bored sometimes. I think some of the scenes just aren't super engaging, and I don't think that the 2 other, like, leads are very engaging.
Yeah.
So the scenes that were more encompassing them, I was just like, I don't give a shit.
Fair.
But, like, it looks nice. It sounds nice. The music's pretty decent. And Albert Finney's fantastic in it.
Oh, absolutely.
And especially near the end when he's just fucking losing it.
Yeah. God, when I was watching Nick Cage do his breakdown on his performances, he mentioned, like, a conversation he had with Albert Finney because he was curious. He's like, did he drink? And Albert Finney said, he's like, no, I would, like, put it in my mouth and I would spit it right back out just so I could know the taste. And I was just like, oh man. It seems like it'd be... as terrible and fucked up as, like, hardcore alcoholism is, it seems like it'd be fun to perform a fucked up alcoholic.
Yeah. I agree. That's why the next DDoSer movie, the DDoSer is going to be an alcoholic.
There you go.
All right. I think you're going to give this one an 8 again? A 7. Or is it going up? Okay.
7.
You liked it a little less?
I did. Okay. I did. Yeah. I was hoping it would fill out some more, but you would give this one 6.
Yep. All right, and next up is Leaving Las Vegas, starring Oscar Award winner Nicolas Cage. This is the movie he won the Oscar for. I get it. I'm kind of surprised he won for this one because it's such an intense movie and it's a pretty strange performance at times.
This isn't exactly one I would look at and go, Oscar winner.
But I love his performance in this movie.
Oh yeah, no, he absolutely nails it.
I've seen this movie as well, a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, on my search for The Cage. I love this movie, or at least I loved it the first time. I was pretty engrossed in it, and I would say that this time I loved it just as much. Personally, I think one of the big things for me is, I really like all the the two main characters. I think they both have interesting, things to do. And there's a lot of, really engaging stuff about them.
Yeah, I just want to get my negative stuff with this movie out of the way.
Hate women.
Front. No, it's actually nothing. Well, there's one thing to do with her, but it's not to do with her. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a structure choice.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say my big gripes with this movie... Number one, this isn't really a gripe. This is just something I mark as a criticism, although I don't really believe what I'm going to say. I think...
Okay.
Hear me out, you'll see what I mean. I think the beginning bit with Nick Cage is technically unnecessary to the story, but it supplied probably some of my favorite moments from the film.
Before he gets to Las Vegas?
I think you could have introduced his character, about to hit
at the red light. Yeah. I get it.
I don't think we really necessarily gain anything from getting that brief window into his life beforehand, but it does result in just some great sequences. Him going down the aisle, putting all the bottles in, that scene where he's apologizing to his boss.
That scene's really intense for me because it's immediate code switch. He's okay. He's because he's really confident, and then he goes into work, and he's yeah, okay. And he's I'm sorry. That, I'm sorry. It's, heartbreaking for me. Because that's, I feel that specific time is the most, honest window into the character that you see until, an hour and a half into the movie.
Oh, yeah.
That's, the core of his character right now. He's, heartbroken, and he knows that he's, on this cataclysmic just journey into nothingness. And oof.
So yeah, basically he gets fired, so he decides to move to Vegas where he's gonna drink himself to death.
Yeah, that's his whole plan. He's gonna sell his car. He got a big fat check as a leaving because everyone loved him. I do think that I don't think it's necessarily for the structure of the movie, but I think that the opening scenes, especially the ones with his boss, add a little bit of character to him. At least the window that, people used to like this guy. He used to be a likable guy.
Yeah, fair.
And so
I feel those elements, though, kind of shine through in the performance to a certain degree.
That's true, but
like I said, I'm not... It's a criticism, but it's not necessarily one that I'm, sticking behind. It's just something that, I noticed.
Mm-hmm.
But onto my other criticism. I don't really think... I find the character and just the plot line with Yuri to be kind of awkward. Just with its placement within the story. It just feels like they acknowledged, her character's a prostitute, so naturally she would have, a higher-up or a pimp. And we need to find just a quick way to get him out of the movie as fast as we can. That way we can just kind of focus on her relationship with Nick Cage without having to eventually overcome that speed bump of, their love affecting her work. Instead, they make it more her work goes into her own hands from that point. Which it's I found the Yuri stuff just to be kind of awkwardly placed. Mm-hmm. I don't know how else to describe it other than that.
I feel weird about the Yuri stuff because I might agree with the way that it's structured, but I think that a lot of what Yuri represents as a character adds a lot to her character's journey in the sense that she's with this like abusive guy that's really controlling. And as soon as she escapes from him, she immediately runs to someone that she can't necessarily control, but that she can feel like she can help. Like she does have a savior complex in this movie. She wants to save him. Like she's doing everything she can to do this. So I think it definitely like adds to that part of like her character journey. And I'd also be interested, because this is also based on a book, a semi-autographical book. I don't know if you know anything about this book, but right like 2 or 3 days after the writer signed the film rights away, he shot himself in the head. Like he killed himself. Like right after he signed the film rights away. Which is depressing as fuck.
Yeah.
Like these movies are just in general downers.
Yeah.
And I think this one, for me at least, is more of a downer than the other one, because it
definitely gives you more of an emotional attachment to the characters than...
And, like, Nicolas Cage's character is completely, like, doing this to himself. Like, somebody doesn't shoot him or anything. He really does just drink himself to death. Like, he just... Which is, like... It's terrifying to me.
Yeah. I find one of the interesting differences between the two characters, it seems like Albert Finney, when he drinks, or when his character drinks, he says, like, mean things, but it seems like that's a reflection of, like, how he really feels, or at least his knee-jerk, like, base reaction. Whereas, like, I don't get the impression when Nicolas Cage says mean things when he's drunk that's really how he feels.
Nick Cage in general, like, he's like a womanizer when he drinks and stuff. He's probably a womanizer when he's not drinking. We don't get, like, a full scope of the character because we're at the end of his journey. Like, this movie's about his death. But we see him, like, harass a woman, like, trying to get her to sleep with him. But he, like, breaks down. And as soon as he gets, like, this prostitute, he's just like, I just want to talk. Like, obviously, he's just putting up a front, and then as soon as anyone, like, calls him out on it or even approaches him, the front, like, falls away. And obviously he has multiple fronts. Like, he's still holding himself up a decent amount. Like, we only see, like, the glimpse at the beginning of the movie, and then as he's deteriorating. This movie, fucking...
Yeah.
Whew.
Also, my final kind of gripe with the film, what the hell are those little talking sequences that Sarah has throughout the movie? Is she supposed to be talking to a shrink, or those
those are, okay, she's talking, those are all based at the end of the film after he's dead. She's talking to a therapist.
It seemed like there are certain points where she was talking, like, because she mentions, like, oh, yesterday, in one of them, and it's like, well, the story doesn't take place like over the period of a day, so it got a little confusing, and I wasn't sure like if she was actually supposed to be talking to like a shrink, or if it was meant to just be like her internally processing her situation.
No, I get it. I think it's supposed to be like kind of vague throughout, because I think the film wants you to kind of have hope for the character of not dying. Fair. But I believe she's just telling a story to her shrink, to her therapist. But I also get that. I don't have an issue with it, but I get it. It's kind of jarring at times, because especially the first time, I'm like, what the fuck is she? What's going on?
Yeah. But yeah, no. Those negatives aside, I really enjoy this one. I think it's really solidly written. The characters are both really well written and really well performed.
I realize that this movie could have been a decent double feature with adaptation if we hadn't covered it, because they're both about screenwriters.
Also true, yeah.
I think the direction's surprisingly really good for a director that I haven't heard a lot of good things about, like Mike Figgis. I haven't seen any of his other films, but I know of them, and I've heard that they're like fine,
Mm.
but I think the direction in this movie is pretty good. Like,
Yeah, I want to say when I first saw the movie, I looked at his film roster, but I don't remember a single fucking.
he also does the music for the movie. He did the music for a lot of his other movies. You don't like the music in it?
That was another gripe I had. It's not that I don't like the music, but I found that they used a couple of the tracks way too much.
The like insert tracks. I didn't have. I know they use them a lot. It wasn't an issue for me, but I definitely noticed it. But outside of the insert tracks, just like the like jazz instrumentals they put in a lot, and just the regular like instruments, I thought fit pretty well. A lot of them felt like really non-linear and like all over the place, which I think matches pretty well with the character of Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
I remember like watching a Nick Cage like freak out compilation a couple of years ago and seeing the scene in the casino where he's like, "You can trust me," and he's like flipping shit over and they're like, "Ah!" And then watching this movie actually, I'm like, Jesus Christ, like it's so weird to see like that in a freak out compilation because yeah, he's freaking out, but he's like dying. He's killing himself with alcohol. I'm like, oh, this is depressing.
Yeah, no.
The context of this makes it so much worse.
Oh, absolutely. I wonder just how many of those in general have like some more fucked up contexts behind them.
I mean, a lot of like Nick Cage freakout moments are in times of like emotional turmoil for his characters. Like, oh, his daughter was just murdered or something.
Yeah.
Like, they're in bad movies, so I don't necessarily care. But it's just really funny to watch things without context. Like, that's why I don't watch clips from like movies without context anymore.
Yeah.
I used to do it because I thought, well, it was like Nick Cage funny. But now that I have more of an appreciation for him, like as an actor, I'm like, I want to know what's like in this movie. I want to watch this movie.
Because sometimes that kind of shit leads to negative, like, shit that happens. Because I remember I recommended Marriage Story to a lot of people when that came out, and everyone was like, yeah, but I've seen the memes and it doesn't seem like my kind of movie.
Even out of context though, I'm like, that argument, I don't understand why people are like shitting on the argument that they have. Like, because I'm like, that's it. That feels pretty real to me. Like,
yeah, like
it's not exactly how I would argue, but like it feels emotional and raw. Like
it feels genuine.
Yeah,
but
and I think in general a lot of like people shit on Nick Cage as an actor because they're like, yeah, he just overacts, and like he definitely has, like in that GQ, like he specifically says, he's like, yeah, I do a bunch of roles to do something different and interesting. Like he has a different acting talent than a lot of people, but it's not bad. I love Nick Cage's acting. He has bad roles and he has bad performances. I'm not going to just pretend that he doesn't, but Nick Cage is like probably one of my favorite American actors. Like he has so many like really cool roles and really cool performances that are outside of the norm that I still think are really good. And it's so disappointing because when people watch these freak out compilations, that just hammers in the idea that Nick Cage is like this one trick pony where he just like, oh, he yells a lot.
Yeah. No, I definitely get it.
And I'm fine with people not liking Nick Cage as well, but it's just like, I need people to understand context of things sometimes if they're going to shit on something.
Yeah. But, I mean, sometimes people just will willingly ignore it.
Yeah, which is fine. Well, whatever. Do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. Well, I care, but I'm not going to tell you how to live your life.
How long until we get a movie starring Nick Cage that has him starring as Shaggy Rogers in a world where Scooby's been dead for 30 years?
Holy shit. They need to fucking make a movie. I'm actually kind of surprised they haven't done a Scooby Apocalypse movie yet.
That's...
Like, I know it's a big jump. Like, it's one thing for TMNT to do, like, a jump to R with, like, Batman and TMNT and stuff like that. Or that might have been PG-13, actually. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But like, they have a history of having that. So I understand that, like, jumping the movies that are exclusively like kids movies pretty much, or family friendly films, to jumping to like a hard R, because Scooby Apocalypse would have to be like a hard R like movie.
They could go like the watered down route where it's, but that'd be sad. Well, yeah, but I mean, it'd be the more expected thing. It's like, what? You want Scooby-Doo in a post-apocalyptic future where they'll solve a very light, fluffy crime like they always do?
But that'd be really cool. Nick Cage could play Scooby. He can voice him. But yeah, I really like this movie, and I want to see more Nick Cage movies. I keep meaning to jump back in because I still have like 20 movies I haven't seen them. And most of them are going to be the bad ones, but I just don't care. I just like seeing Nick Cage.
Fair.
But the problem is, like I say, most of the time I watch most of my movies with Hinatea, and she doesn't like watching bad movies usually. Mm. So it's like, man. But yeah, I think maybe this one's going to go a little higher this time. Maybe a 9? An 8? Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh!
You're going to give this one a 9? A 10?
A 10, yeah. This is my second favorite Nick Cage movie, right after Adaptation. And I love both those. Yeah. He's starring in a movie about himself.
Nicolas Cage?
Yeah.
Is it going to be like Honey Boy? Which I still haven't seen.
Well, you shouldn't now, because, yeah, it's like...
not going to now.
Fuck that.
I mean, I kept hearing that Nick Cage had, like, spousal abuse allegations against him, but, like, the only thing I could find was, like, that New Orleans incident where he, like, I guess was drunkenly, like, grabbing his wife by the wrist, but he was, like, hitting cars and stuff.
Yeah, like, Nick Cage is not the perfect person, no. But most of the things that I've seen he's done have been, like, under the influence of drugs that he has since, like, gotten a hold of mostly, and, like, I'm not excusing that, but I don't think he, like, hits his wife or anything. Yeah. Obviously, I think he's divorced now again, but...
Probably.
He's probably not the greatest partner, but that's because he's Nick Cage, and he's probably obsessed with himself.
Probably.
But I'm obsessed with him, too, so... But I don't think he's a bad guy. I think... He was just drunk.
I don't know. I think he's a great actor, though.
Yeah. No, the one he's in, I can't remember exactly what it's about, but he's just playing himself, and he's, like, trying to get this role. It's like a fiction movie about him trying to get, like, the role of a lifetime or something. Looks dumb. Looks pretty good, though. Yeah. So next week we're going to have our buddy Philip on. Hello, Philip.
Yeah. Maybe he'll do a flip for us.
Does he do flips?
He does backflips.
He can do a backflip standing up? Like he can just do a backflip?
Yeah. They're easier to do than front flips.
He can do a backflip?
Yeah.
Do you call him backflip Philip?
We call him like Flippy or Flip Up or...
Slippo?
Like yeah. Phil Flip.
Holy shit. Can he do one in here?
I mean, if you don't mind about disturbing your downstairs neighbors for like a second. Yeah. Probably. I mean...
He can just do backflips?
Yeah.
Can he just do it throughout the whole...
I mean, I'm sure he'd probably get a little winded. He's into...
Holy shit.
I forget the actual term.
Parkour?
Yeah, he'd get mad if I called him a
parkourist? Free runner?
Yeah, there's a specific term he uses for him.
Swag lass? Swag lass. That's a good one. That's a good name.
That's what I'm going to call every parkourist.
Swag lass. Cool. Yeah, so we're going to be watching... Why aren't we watching, like, parkour movies, then? You're going to be watching, like, Hardcore Henry.
He picked...
He picked Isle of Dogs and Fantastic Mr. Fox. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll be watching those.
Wes Anderson's stop motion.
Is this the second guest we've had on the podcast? Outside of Pierre and Joe, they don't count.
We had Lucero. We
did have Lucero. What did we watch with Lucero?
I want to say you watched the Before trilogy with us.
Was he on that one? Maybe?
I think so. We had Lucero, we had Hannah for the Blackjack Killer Joe episode, which I heard, like, buzzing that Matthew McConaughey was gonna, like, run for president. And I think it's illegal to have a president, even if it was acting, who, like, used a piece of Kentucky Fried Chicken to offend a woman. Like...
You're right. That's right. Lucero was on the Before episode.
I'm trying... I think that's it. I think it's just...
That was in November of 2019.
Here.
Well, if you want to be on screen... No. Well, cool. Cool. Thanks, everyone, once again, for listening or watching. We really appreciate it. We love you. Tell your grandma. Tell your mailman. Tell Satan. All right. Goodbye, everyone. We'll see you next week for another exciting episode of Two White Guys Talk About Movies with special guest, a third white guy.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Thomas isn't white.
It's okay.
He's mostly white.
Philip's from Alaska.
Is he native Alaskan?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Goodbye. Goodbye, Dab.